My name is Ruth Maxwell. I live at the Biltmore. You get hungry and ain't got no food. Lord, I need some food. I live there with my children. I used to go from pantry to pantry.
I'm so pleased to introduce you to Ruth Maxwell. She shares her powerful story about being the daughter of a sharecropper in search of a better life. Ruth's a Depression-era baby. A member of the silent generation, Ruth grew up during the nation's toughest economic times and through 3 wars fought by this country. Ruth's story starts where she grew up, a little town near Birmingham, Alabama, a place identified in 1934 by President Roosevelt as the worst hit town in the country during the Great Depression. It was a time when you couldn't just go buy items you needed at the store. People had to use ration cards to get commodities such as flour, sugar, butter, and cheese. It was a time of war and sacrifice. You'll hear Ruth's journey of hunger and a tenacity for a better life. She was one of about 6 million Black people who moved out of the South to other parts of the country over the course of 6 decades. She had a hunger for the proverbial American dream. She craved education, a home of her own, and food on her table. Her dream also included fair and equal treatment on the job, a loving relationship with her family, and the ability to give her children a childhood very different from her own.
I grew up in Alabama, 45 miles from Birmingham. I live 21 miles from where we go shopping at, a little city named Talladega. Lincoln, Alabama. Well, I was in the country. It was just woods and old dirt roads. It's named Renfro, Alabama. That's where we went to high school at. Now, I went to grade school right around there in Lincoln. We walked to school every day. I'm the oldest of all 13. Oh, well, my mother was a beautiful person. My mother was a sort of a short, I said medium-sized lady, and had all of those children in here. Her hair come down to here. She's part Indian, and she was there working too. But fact of business, every one of my brothers run away from home. So that left a sister and, well, become a baby then, a baby daughter. My daddy was sort of a tight ward. Now my mother, she had 13 children. She had 10 boys and 3 girls. So 3 of the girls are still living, 8 of the boys is gone. Out of love. Not me, it's love, period. Because we come from a place where we wouldn't love. We would just work all the time. Because he knowed us, I don't think we was his children. He knowed us. We couldn't sit down around the fire. We had a fireplace. We cut wood and make a fire. And we sat around in the rainy days and just look at one another because we couldn't talk. Well, I was born in 1930. Now my daddy was a farmer, was a cropper. And I worked in the field where we hold cotton, strip fard off the cone. I worked as my daddy worked. I worked all the time. When my brothers got big enough, we all worked together all the time. We had to go and get the commodities. Yeah, we was rationing food. We was rationing flour. We was rationing sugar. We was rationing all around food town. We had to buy. We had to draw water out of a well with a bucket and a rope. We had to let the bucket down in the well and pull the water up and put it in our bucket. So that's how we got our water. We had gardens, we had vegetables, And that's what we was raised on. Well as work the field. I was gardeners. We was almost bigger than this building. We had cabbage, tomatoes, onions, beans, carrots, everything that go in a garden, we had it. Well, my mama cooked a lot of cabbage because we worked in the field. We stayed in the field all the time until the crops got where we could sort of come home a little bit and sit on the porch. But everything was good. We raised green beans, peas, all kind of peas, peanuts. We raised peanuts, potatoes, sweet potatoes, iced potatoes. We raised everything, hogs. In the meantime, when winter started setting in, and they started doing timber and stuff for what they wanted for lumber or stuff like that, I helped cut the logs, saw the logs. When we come to the end of the crop, we pick cotton. We put the cotton in bags, them big old long bags drug behind us. We had them going on the shoulder. We had to pick cotton and make a bale of cotton. Daddy had told me, since I done got grown now, you can get out. I left home at 27 years old. Well, I went to live with my cousin. I graduated from high school. I might didn't get as well educated as a lot of the children got, but I had a good principal, economical teacher, and other teachers. But they just nursed me on till I got to the 12th grade.
Time when Ruth was forced to leave her Alabama farm. She was one of about 6 million Black people who moved up out of the South to other parts of the country over the course of 6 decades. She would come to Dayton, Ohio in the 1950s and grow her young family.
So when he said go, I left, running. If you know how they do women when they have babies and stuff like that, they don't want me to get hyper like this, but I do. She wanted me to come home till the baby got a month old. The older women's, when they have a baby, they don't go outdoors in 7 days. And they stay in the house a month before they get out into the streets. So that's what it was. She come to me one day. She says, if you want to go back with your auntie, you can go. So I come to Dayton in 1955. My baby was 3 weeks old when I brought him to Dayton. She lived here, my daddy's sister, and she brought me here to try to give me a start in life because I didn't have none. It was 2 of them, his her and her son, had a little shotgun house. She said, come on, you can live on the couch with me and my son. So I did that. Well, my auntie, she was going to take care of the baby. She wanted me to get out and get a job. So that's why it happened like that. But I come back, so then she wanted to send me back home. I come here with my auntie. She lived in the East End of Dayton on Diamond Avenue. My first job, I got a job babysitting a little born baby right up here on Lexington Avenue. But the baby cried so much at night, I couldn't do it. I couldn't handle that. So that morning when time came, that was a night job now, nursing that baby. And that morning come, I got up and left. I ain't got my pay yet. And that's been almost 50 or 60 years ago. So she put me out. But I had another auntie, lived right in the door. So when she come in from work that day, I was crying. I'm a crybaby. She said, what's wrong? I said, my auntie want to send me back home. She said, no. You ain't going back home. I stayed with my auntie about a year, maybe a year and a half. Change of life worked on me hard. Them babies worked on me hard, but I love them. Every one of them. We associate together. We don't fight or fuss. We just, it's what I call love. Now I got 2 brothers in Detroit I ain't seen in 10 years. I talk to them. And I got a sister right over here in Soda Bay. I taught them how to try to be loved. to their family. That's one of the best things to me, is that family have love. Then I got in love with her boyfriend, so I got pregnant by him with my oldest daughter. So she put me out. Kids' daddy, he worked. Well, I married him in I think 53. He was a veteran. Korean War. Yeah. Well, I just met him after I come to date. I was in love. Now he would do his little tea drinking. It wasn't a whole lot. Wasn't a fighter. He wasn't a fighter. You know what he do when he get his little tea. He come in and he loved to preach. And me and the children sit and laugh at it. So, we had fun. I didn't have that baby till 25 years old. I was scared of the men. Yeah. At 25. And then when I started having babies, I had to quit. Because I was having them too fast, the doctor said. I've been in dating 50 years. I bought a 3-week-old baby boy here. Now he's 60 years old. I had 3 girls and 2 boys. One of my daughters is gone on to heaven. I got a son living in this building. He had a stroke, he had to quit work. I had my oldest daughter live in this building. They went to Roosevelt and Conway. Now, preschool, one of them was Edison. At school on Summit. McFarland. They went to high school. My girls went to Conway, and my oldest son went to Roosevelt. My baby boy graduated. One girl graduated. 2 girls graduated, but they went through the 12th grade. Did their thing. They're not kids now. I allowed them to have an outing, but we didn't have no outing. We let them have a little social. As long as they done what I told them, they got to go. Well, I just raised them right and taught them right. He was in church, and my auntie's church there, they learned a lot in that church. In school, they learned a lot in school that I didn't learn. I wasn't mean to them, but whatsoever you done wrong, you got chastised for. And she said, Mama, you know you whooped us just for what y'all done. Y'all had to be obedient. I see, I've been playing bingo for about 50 years. Honey, I'd go to bingo, one on my neck, one on my back, when I didn't have a 2. Because then you would take children to bingo, and now you can't take them. Now that's where me and my kids go out a lot to eat when the arcade was there. I would take them around the first of the month. We'd go out to maybe McDonald's and stuff like that. Arby's, now that was sure one of the places. So that's what I did mostly when we went out to that. Because I wasn't, till my kids got teenagers, I didn't turn them loose until they were about 16, 17 years old, because then they know the right from wrong. And so y'all on y'all's way. My children really rolled up fast. Come together, we cook together. They live in these separate apartments. And only my son, he stays to himself, So I love him because he was working when he had his stroke. Yeah. And she don't know how she got hers. She have Lucas. She doing fine. Well, some have talked to her when she first got it, have gone home. And that's been over 6 or 7 years ago. Because I raised 2 families. I raised my daughter's kids. I had a daughter to go out there on alcohol. But I raised them, though. I had 5. I started having babies. I was having my daughter would die, and my oldest daughter is pretty close. And then my baby daughter, well, them 3 girls, I had an active man. And the doctor told him, he said, well, if she haven't nothing, he'll kill her. So he was good. So I went on and had myself fixed up. My oldest granddaughter, she went to college. She's been out now for about 8 years. She trying to get a little house together, and she got 2 kids. She had 2 kids, but one of them died. Well, All of my grandsons, they went to school. They learned. Really, they can take care of themselves. So full, they taking care of themselves. So they give me hope.
Ruth shares her experiences working some of the jobs she held over the years and the unexpected challenges that came with them. She had no idea that her Southern roots would turn out to be quite the liability in the Midwest.
I'm a workaholic. I said, I wish we could work. I'd love to work, have me a little job. Oh, I was so uncomfortable when I had to leave my little job. I got another job. After I left this baby sitting, I got another job. And you know Southern folks, they have different accents. Well, see here in Ohio, it was different than it was in Alabama. So that's why I was sad, but I could have it. Up on 3rd Street, I was saying, yes sir, no sir, yes sir, no sir. And he come to me on that job, that was a dishwashing job. He come to me on that job, he said, Ruth, he said, if you don't stop using that kind of language, I have to let you go. So we don't do that language here. We say yes ma'am and yes sir. You know, sort of like those folks in the foreign country. We were saying yes sir and no sir. It was yes sir, yes ma'am, what we was using. So I said I couldn't give it up. I worked for him, I guess, about 2 months. And he come in and told me, he said, Ruth, I'm so sorry. He said, but I got to let you go. We dealing with the public. I wanted to learn how to do sick nursing. We worked so much, we didn't have time for us to get in there and do nothing for ourselves after I got 16, 17, and 18 years old. Only long job I had was nursing home. I worked there the longest. In Catalpa and Oxford. I lived on Lexington. I could walk to work. In 81, that's when I first retired because I done got up in about 28, maybe 30 years. And hot flashes done started on me. And I would do little different things the manager wouldn't like. So she told me one day to go get some rest and get on welfare. So I left. Because I was working with some girl and she wasn't incorporating with me. So I left. Because I didn't tell nothing on nobody. Things happened, I didn't run and tell on them. He found out anything, he found it out himself. I didn't tell nothing on them. So she wasn't doing her part sometimes. But getting in there might change your life. You know, I tell the children and I talk to young men, we sit outside. These young men that's handicapped and walking around with a walking stick and a ball in their hand, I tell them, y'all don't know what work is. If y'all know what work is, y'all wouldn't be doing all this.
One of Ruth's most endearing qualities is her desire to give and help others, even when she herself has such a lack of resources. She gives her time and opens her wallet to feed others who might be as hungry as she once was. It became clear to me that her faith influenced her generosity.
I believe in life. Yes, ma'am. My faith is my all in all. Yes, God is real. If something go wrong, what you say? Jesus help me. And all of a sudden, Jesus done help you. One of the reasons I got like I am in the spiritual world, the last auntie that I went to, she was a preacher. And at least she taught us this and that, the denomination of the church and how God works. Because we at home, we just went to church. We wasn't taught nothing. But when I come to Dayton, Ohio, we had a little meeting and she taught us the Bible and what words was and this and that. So when I got where I learned quite a bit about that, I joined the church. I'm very spiritual, very look up to the old master. I just got involved in things to enjoy. I love church, and I love going to bingo, and I love going to the casino. Now that's my fun now. But church and God is my most valuable thing. I love giving back. Yes, I love giving back. That's when I got joy good, because that's when I can start to fixing for these older people. Now that was joy. But usually some handicap in here, I may fix a dinner. I send them dinner. I make turkey dressing, cook hams, and I love to fix sweet potato pies. I make menu for the day, and teach some cornbread, get you some greens. Well, fact is, I cooked all of it in my home at the time. Oh, maybe. So I went to these older ladies and I said, you know what? If I could do this, I would try to get something together and fix all of the mothers what's in this building's handicap or old Mother's Day dinner. For 5 years I done that. I cooked it. Well, now a lot of them was younger, they'd go out. We would have, I'd say about 18 or 20 people on Mother's Day, because that was men's come. So I let them come on too, because they had mothers. You know, my eyesight is all going. I did my cooking for Christmas, and I stayed up all night. I cooked turkey, I cooked ham, I cooked pie. I did all of that before I stopped. I got up in the morning, this eye looked like it's a leaf on it. It's sort of hard to see a little bit. Now this side I see pretty good, but I think I'll manage it though. So that's where I get hope from, baby. God can do anything. You ask Him to, and you be sincere. I hope for better days yet. And I'm 92 years old. And I want hope for them too. They all doing pretty good now. Now that's where I want hope, to see that child walk away from you. So you got your whole soul and body in the Creator. Because if you get hungry and ain't got no food, Lord, I need some food. It don't be long since somebody said, Ruth, come get you some groceries, or come get you some food. I lived there with my children. I used to go from pantry to pantry, but I don't have to now.
It's been more than 6 decades since Ruth traveled 550 miles from Alabama up to Dayton, Ohio, to come stay with her aunties on Diamond Avenue in the East End. Ruth and her fellow residents at the Biltmore Towers live in what used to be a luxury grand hotel that was built 1 year before Ruth was born. The Biltmore Towers now hold some 230 1- and 2-bedroom apartments reserved for seniors of modest means. And Ruth, she delights in living in downtown Dayton, even after so many others fled the inner cities. Ruth and her fellow tenants there, they've paved the way for a wave of higher income seniors and young adults who, like Ruth, now see the value of living in a historic core of Dayton, Ohio in the 2020s.
It's a place to lay your head. It's a place for you to unite as long as you live if you want it. That's what home means to me. I really lived in 2 houses since I've been in Dayton. Rest of them apartments. I had a house in the East End. I had a house on the west side. Yeah, I had a house on the west side. And after west side, government homes come being available for families that had kids. And so I lived in the government houses. Well, that's where hope is alive. I had a beautiful friend girl. A friend, just a friend girl. Now I ain't talking about no love. She worked where I got a job at. She done got sick. And she said, why don't you come on down here? You got a bedroom, you got a living room and a kitchen together. You don't need nothing for all of them children. So I moved in here before she died. And that's what hope is. She was precious to me. She wanted me to come out and better myself. And that's what it is. And he said to me one day, he said, Grandma, we'll make it. We'll make it. You go ahead on. I'll come on down. Because they gonna get growner and growner and growner. They gonna do their thing. And all of them has got their home. Ain't got the home, they got a house to live in. Yeah, all of them. I've been here 21 years. So many of these people just moved out here, and a lot of them get upset. I'm gonna go out of here. But to me, this is a better place for me because I'm right on the bus line, and I'm right where I can't hardly walk now. But the store is right down there, and a dry goods store is right down there, and I know some more coming. When they get through tearing up and building down there, we gonna have a dating back.
Thank you for joining us on this St. Mary Development Profiles in Hope podcast. We invite you to reach out to us at www.stmarydevelopment, all one word, .org, and share with us your thoughts on this episode, any favorite hope quotations or hope definitions, or any personal stories of hope that we might be able to include in future podcasts. We look forward to sharing Profiles in Hope podcast episodes with you, our listeners. And until then, may hope continue to live right under your roof.